I want to thank you all for joining us today. My name is Kara Wilkins, and I am the director of Bank on Arkansas Plus. And thank you again for coming to our Family Financial Support webinar. Today we have three speakers who, in my opinion, have a wealth of experience in helping families to improve their financial health. They are here to offer tips and practical steps for those who are navigating the financial impact of the COVID-19 crisis. But before I begin, I do want to provide a brief background of Bank on Arkansas Plus, our goals, mission, and set some context for today's webinar. Bank on Arkansas Plus is a part of a national network that is managed by Cities for Financial Empowerment Fund. The idea to seed a statewide Bank on Arkansas Plus program was introduced locally in 2018 by Arkansas Asset Funders Network, who spearheaded the launch of the program along with other community partners and supporters. Our initial goal is simple: work to improve the financial stability of unbanked and underbanked residents throughout the state. And we primarily achieve that goal through helping to connect families to certified Bank On checking accounts. We have 11 banks that offer certified accounts, as you can see on your screen. And these accounts provide families safe and trusted banking options. Some benefits with Bank On accounts include no overdraft fees, a low monthly minimum balance of $5 or less, free debit or ATM cards. They usually require an opening deposit of $25 or less, and there are also online banking options. So in addition to helping to connect families to affordable bank accounts, Bank on Arkansas Plus leads a coalition of about 60 partners from across the state who are as equally invested in improving the financial health of Arkansans. And it is through those partners that we are able to connect communities with financial education courses, VITA site assistance, and provide greater access to mainstream financial services. With the economic downturn as a result of COVID-19, many families are experiencing unprecedented financial challenges, including the inability to pay bills, lack of access to government-assisted services, and more. And it is with that in mind that we have asked three members of our coalition from Hope Credit Union, Arkansas Community Action Agency, and the Credit Counseling of Arkansas to join us today to connect families to resources that will help their financial future. Their topics will include mapping a COVID financial plan, resources to assist with bill payment, and how to minimize potential debts and protect credit scores. Our hope is that the attendees today will take this information back to clients and community partners to help spread the message about financial health here in Arkansas. Please note that the webinar is being recorded and will be available on our website at www.bankonar.org immediately following the call, as well as our Facebook page. We are going to ask to hold questions until the end of the three presentations, but we do encourage you to place questions in the chat box as we go along, and that way when we get to the end of the presentations, we can select a few questions to answer. Additionally, the contact information for the speakers will also be available. So if you do not get a chance to get your question answered, you can directly contact our presenters and ask your question to them directly. And so with that, I would like to turn it over to Kimberly Lee, who is the Financial Inclusion Officer for the Arkansas market for Hope Credit Union, who's going to talk to us about mapping a COVID-19 financial plan. Kim?
Good morning, everybody. Thank you, Kara, for having me. So honored to educate the community in regard to mapping a COVID-19 financial plan. As you stated, I am Kimberly Lee, and I am the Financial Inclusion Officer with Hope Credit Union. I just have a few slides and a few things to go over. I know we are pressed for time, but to get started, I'm going to talk a little bit about the purpose of budgeting and provide a few tips, how to budget step by step, coronavirus financial resources for individuals, Hope's Bank on Arkansas Plus certified account, and I don't have the Hope Impact Report on there, but you can definitely go to hopecu.org to review those impact reports. We can go to the next slide. Okay, budgeting. Well, with the COVID experience, we all have, most of us, if not all of us, have realized that emergency and unexpected situations can happen. And we now can prepare for things such as COVID or for future emergencies just to happen in our homes with our families. An emergency fund is for much larger expenses, such as our mortgage or rent, utilities, child care, and if you have kids at home, the grocery bill, of course. Without an emergency fund, unexpected expenses can leave you scrambling to pay your bills, quickly send you into a debt trap. But while budgeting is important, it's a resource for allocation, planning, coordination, control, and motivation. Budgeting may sound like a consequence, but it can definitely be an asset and a benefit for your household. A lot of times when you talk about budgeting, you're like, oh my gosh, I have to save, I have to count, I have to be honest about my spending. And a lot of times we don't want to be honest. But it helps you plan for unexpected situations such as COVID. It is also an important tool for decision making, monitoring financial performance, and forecasting income and expenses. As I said, budgeting, the three purposes of budgeting: a forecast of income and expenses, and that's where your honesty is going to have to come forth. A tool for decision making, and a means to monitor your spending performance. All these three things, you and your family will have to sit down, or yourself if it's just an individual, and just discuss what is income, what are expenses, set tools for decision making, and you have to monitor your spending to ensure that you are following your budget plan. Step by step, how to budget. Well, first you have to establish a financial goal. To establish a budget doesn't mean it has to be something for a long-term goal. It can be maybe a family trip, maybe the purchase of a large purchase, maybe emergencies. But first, you have to establish what is that financial goal. Once you establish that financial goal and how much it costs to reach that goal, then you can go on to the next step of the budgeting plan. Identify income and expenses. This is where your honesty is going to come into place. It, know what your income is coming in and the expensive expenses going out. A lot of times we may have expenses that we're spending money on, but we don't want to identify those things as actually as an expense. If you're spending money out, it's an expense. If you're receiving money in, it's income. Separate your needs and your wants. Or we may have some problems with this because a lot of times what we feel is a need, what we feel is a want, we think it's a need. But if it is a need for your household, you have to establish it as a need. Those things that you think are wants, it's okay. Put it in the want basket, but at least know what is a need for your household and what is a want. Design a budget plan. There are different types of budget plan, and you can Google these things. You have a survival budget, a debt-free budget, the financial freedom budget, and the planning retirement budget. There are different type of budget plans that you can Google and follow to get an idea of how to design a budget plan for you and your household. Put the plan to action. After you establish your financial goal, after you identify your income and expenses, after you separated your needs and your wants, after you decided which budget plan that you're going to use, now it's time to put the work forth. So you have to put it into action. If you once you design that budget plan, if it's with your family, sit down maybe weekly, bi-weekly, once a month to make sure that the plan is working. When you see the results, then you're going to be more motivated to continue with the step by step and continue to work on that budget plan. But in order to see that it's working, you have to have meetings. You have to see that you are budgeting, whether small or large. Everybody's Budget goal is different. Everyone's financial goal is different. You may not be planning for a $5,000 financial goal. Maybe it's just saving $1,000. But if you're meeting regularly with yourself or with your family and you're seeing the results, then you know that the budget plan is working for you. Next slide. You got it, Kara? Oh. Okay, a few COVID-19 financial resources for your family. Use 2211 to get reliable, up to date, and local information on resources related to COVID 19. We know with social media and the news, there's so much information out there and it can be overwhelming. Most places, most states have the use of 211, and you can get the most reliable and up to date information. Stay in touch with your financial institution. This during the COVID-19 pandemic, people are learning the importance of having a relationship with your financial institution. It's very important. A lot of financial institutions are waiving fees or providing some form of assistance, but you don't know that if you're not in touch with them. You may get emails, you may get text messages, alerts, but make sure that you're staying in touch with your financial institution. Contact your lenders, utility service providers, or landlord. Many creditors are offering relief options at this time. We all have heard about the mortgage companies doing a 3-month deferment, or financial lenders doing 3-month deferment for your vehicles. But you need to reach out to those lenders to understand the plan for that. It's different for it's different for different lenders. The 3 months may be put on the back end. For some, they're asking for that 3 months to be paid after the 90 days. But if you're in contact with them, you will understand the guidelines as far as their deferment payments. Learn more about economic impact payments. You can go to irs.gov. Most people have received their economic impact payments, either direct deposit, check, and now you know they have a debit card coming out with the funds on there. Apply for unemployment benefits. Here for the state of Arkansas, we've heard so much about the unemployment website, but you have to be patient. Continue to go to the site, apply, do your weekly check in, and I know they have a contact number or email for any questions or concerns. As far as student loan forbearance, if you have student loans out there, contact the U.S. Department of Education. Contact your student loan creditors, your lenders, and see what payment options they have right now. A lot of creditors have a lot of payment relief options available for you, but again, you have to make the contact, ask those right questions to find out what that is. And if you're having any type of financial or hardship, or you're needing any guidance, you can get help from a financial or housing counselor. Contact the National Foundation of Credit Counseling, and the number is right here, 833-746-7577. And I just want to talk a little bit about Bank On. Hope Credit Union, it has joined Bank On. So excited to finally do so. We have the Hope Choice Card. That is our certified account. And you can learn more. It's quick and easy access. It's affordable. Families can share a single account balance of up to 5 debit cards. No overdraft fees. Minimum deposit amount required. A debit card is provided. Online accessibility, and the debit cards can be used in the USA, Mexico, and Canada. So if you are looking for a Bank On product, Hope Credit Union has one for you. And again, my name is Kimberly Lee, Financial Inclusion Officer with Hope Credit Union. My contact number, email address, and our website is posted right here. Thank you, Kara.
Thank you, Kimberly. We appreciate you for being on the call. I did want to note that Kim mentioned that economic impact payments are being sent out on debit cards. And so that is messaging that we've been trying to promote through Bank On Arkansas to let families know that If you do not receive a paper check, you will receive a debit card. But we have seen that people are not aware of this, and so they may be putting their debit card in the trash, or not knowing that that is loaded with their economic impact payment money. So if you could, make sure that people understand that some people will be getting their money on a debit card. And, ideally, we'd love for them to take the money from the debit card and still open a certified bank on account. The benefit to the debit card is that they can get it quicker and be able to use it. But if the debit card goes missing, or if they lose it, or again, if they throw it in the trash, then it could really set a family back financially. And by having that money in a bank account, we know that it's safe. They can draw upon it anytime that they need it, and they don't have to worry about losing it, or any fees or anything that comes with that. So with that being said, I'd like to turn it over to Terry Bearden. Terry is the Chief Operations Officer for the Arkansas Community Action Agencies Association, and she's going to talk to us about some bill payment assistance options. So Terry?
Thanks, Kara. So the first thing I wanted to mention is what is the Arkansas Community Action Agencies Association? We are the state association for the community action agencies that serve all 75 counties in the state of Arkansas. And our agencies provide emergency services, supportive services, and transformational services to low and moderate income people. One thing that's important to recognize about a community action agency is that they are very deliberate in trying to communicate with their local service areas and find out exactly what services are needed to help people become more self-sufficient within their area. So no two community action agencies look exactly alike, but we do have some commonalities across the agencies that I'm going to highlight today. The one program that all community action agencies in Arkansas operate is the Low Income Home Energy Assistance Program, LIHEAP. And we speak in, we use a lot of acronyms in the community action world. So if you hear folks, if you contact your local agency and they start throwing out LIHEAP and CSBG and all of these acronyms to you, ask them to stop and explain what that is, because we get caught up in our own jargon. So often people will say, well, do you provide utility assistance? And that's what the LIHEAP program is. And we have been lucky enough to receive a lot of additional funding for the LIHEAP program right now. So we're being very careful to provide as many opportunities for assistance as possible. So if you've already received assistance this year through your community action agency, if you've received utility assistance, don't let that stop you from applying again. We plan to open and close programs multiple times between now and September 30th of next year to provide people with as much opportunity to access these funds as possible. So in other words, whereas you would normally get assistance early in the year in January or February, and then perhaps again in March, and then again in July, you want to continue to contact your community action agency to find out what programs are operating. It's possible that you could receive assistance 5 or 6 times within a year, within a 12-month period, which is not common. And this is specifically to help families and individuals who have been negatively affected economically by the COVID-19 pandemic. So we know that many utility companies provided the opportunity for a moratorium, and we're not shutting folks off while everybody kind of found their footing. But unfortunately, what that means is that folks now have $1,500 gas bills or $1,100 electric bills. So we want to make sure that we provide, again, as many opportunities to help you knock that balance down and get as much benefit from what are basically your tax dollars that you've all been paying in while you've been working. So this is an opportunity for you to get some of those dollars back. In terms of who qualifies, there are income eligibility levels, and I'm certainly not going to sit here and read the entire chart off to you of what those levels would be, but just to give you an idea, for a single person household, the income eligibility level is $1,696 a month. And for a family of four, is $3,261 a month. So that allows for some earned income to be coming in. It allows for those who have qualified for unemployment benefits, even with the additional 600. They should fall within those guidelines. And so it's always worthwhile to go ahead and contact your local agency. Most of our agencies have moved to an online and telephone-based process. In the past, you had to go in and sit down and have a face-to-face interview. But recognizing that we need social distancing and we need to provide safe opportunities for the public to access these services, as well as provide safe work environments for our staff, we have instituted many online processes. So you can often be um, deemed eligible for these services without ever having to be face-to-face with the Community Action Agency staff. So again, I will provide you at the end of my presentation, excuse me, with some information to go to our website. I'm seeing the chat, sorry. With some information to go to our website, and you can click on a banner and find your local community action agency. So in terms of other assistance, we have a common foundational block grant that supports a lot of assistance programs. And so we have emergency assistance. This could be additional utility assistance, payment for deposits if you've had to move, rent assistance. We do provide employment referrals and employment support. So let's say that you found a new job and you need some boots and some tools, those types of things. Our agencies can often provide assistance with that. We have various education and cognitive development programs, including Early Head Start, as well as adult education programs. We have other income support and asset building programs such as home buyer assistance, mortgage payment assistance, rental assistance, and then housing assistance. Many of our agencies also own and operate low-income housing developments, and so they can help you with that process. And if they don't operate those programs, they have linkages with your local housing authorities and can help you, again, navigate the process for accessing many different types of services. And a few of our agencies have health services that they provide, whether it's a dental clinic in Fort Smith or substance abuse centers in Russellville and Jonesboro. So we try to, again, meet the needs of local communities as defined by the folks who live there. So it's always worth calling your local agency. We're going to try to be very creative in terms of how we provide services to folks as we recover from the COVID-19 crisis. And so there are going to be many opportunities. One thing I would recommend is getting involved in what we call family enrichment program, in which a community action agency staff member will help you to set goals to figure out what your path back to wholeness is going to be after the crisis is over. And then they will design supports to help you meet those goals. And they will access these funds that we have in innovative and creative ways to help you find your way back to financial stability and hopefully even come out in a better position than you may have been to begin with. So when we think about these other services, there is, of course, a different income eligibility because it would be too simple to have them all be the same. So again, for a family of one, we're looking at $1,329 a month. And for a family of four, we're looking at $2,729 a month. And it's about the same or perhaps a little higher if you're seeking food assistance, which is one of the primary emergency services that we're providing right now. And next slide. All right, so our agencies range from 1 county to 19 counties in terms of service area. So again, I won't go through a laundry list of if you live here, go here, if you live there, go there. But we have information at our website, which is acaa.org, and you'll see that little yellow banner. If you click there, it will take you to a map that provides you with all of the contact information that you need. And if you need any additional information, or if you want to help a family member get linked up with their local agency, you can feel free to contact me or one of my staff members, and we will get you in touch with the right folks. Thank you.
Thank you, Terry. And now I'd like to turn it over to Alden Napier. Alden is the Executive Director of Credit Counseling of Arkansas, and he's going to talk to us about minimizing debts and protecting credit. Alden?
Hey friends, Kara, thank you so much for coordinating this. I really appreciate you. You're just amazing. And you're right now, like you're running a webinar and probably monitoring Facebook and just I don't know how you do it. I can't multitask that way. Even with 5 kids, like I haven't learned how to do that. So Terry and Kimberly, really appreciate the heart behind your organizations, because I know for a fact that you're really hands-on. And that means a lot, because that relationship building that has to be done in this space where you're talking about, financial issues is critical. We can't do this work if we're not oriented to relationships first. So I appreciate you just kind of drawing that out and speaking to that, and really grateful for the personal nature that you endeavor to cultivate as you reach out to community members. So that's a big deal for us. I mean, you see there at the top of the screen, the caring financial professionals, that's who we are. And back in 95, when we were all just really excited about our 3x5 floppy disks and Zoom was like something on Star Trek or, Star Wars, we had a group of visionary leaders in Arkansas who said, we're trying to get a lot accomplished around economic equality, economic stability, economic resilience, financial resilience, and we're not making any headway. What do we do about this? And so they did a bunch of research and just determined that one of the best resources that they could launch in the state was a nonprofit credit counseling organization who would work for the client to resolve financial issues, to help them reach financial goals. So our mission for 25 years, since 1995, has been to provide leadership and services that improve the quality of life for individuals and families. And we do that through a number of services, which you'll see here on the next slide. And those services include financial education. So we do a lot out in the community. We go and provide free classes to employers, to nonprofit groups. We train those organizations to train their team or to provide education to their team. And we also just provide these services, these financial education seminars at libraries and community organizations. And we have seen over 250,000 people attend a CCOA financial education seminar. So really thankful to be able to do that. The other thing that we do across like our counseling services, the one-on-one, or a family will come in and talk through some financial challenges or talk to us about reaching financial goals. Basic counseling, that's I need to set some goals. I don't really know how to do that. I get it. I need to set up a budget. Kimberly was talking about creating a budget. Those steps are awesome, and they're exactly what we walk through. We know that a lot of people want to do that on their own, and we have some tools and resources to help them. Kimberly mentioned some different budgeting tools. We also know that sometimes people need help to walk through that process. So everybody that comes in our office walks away with 2 things: a budget that they can take home and work with, and then a plan of action. So those baby steps or those incremental decisions that have to be made, or choices or skills that have to be developed in order to make sure that the family's financial health and those goals are met, reached. So we also do a credit report review. We pull a Experian report, and we look at their credit history, and we try to determine what's going on there, what's healthy, what could be improved, and work with that individual to create a plan of action around improving their credit history, which will improve their credit score, right? So we have a lot of families who come to us and, they've gone to a bank and the bank said, I can't really help you out, or the rate that I'm going to give you is really expensive. The interest rate that I'm going to give you is really expensive based on your credit score. And so we have families who come to us or individuals who come to us and say, I don't want to pay that. What do I need to do to improve my credit score? And so we start there with that history and look at things and help them understand this is what's in your credit history. And this is a great time to check your credit history, incidentally, because all three of the main credit bureaus, TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian, are allowing you to access your credit report weekly. So if you want to monitor your credit history, just go to annualcreditreport.com, annualcreditreport.com, don't go to anything else, and look at look at your credit report on a weekly basis if you want to, for free. That's pretty awesome. So we help people walk through that if they have questions. We do housing counseling, and that's, I want to buy a home, I need to stay in my home, or I need to leverage the equity in my home. We provide student loan repayment counseling. That is a $1.6 trillion issue in the US, so it affects a lot of families. So we want to help people walk through that and understand how to talk to their servicer and understand what options they have for repayment. And then we do bankruptcy counseling, and we have a debt management program. And the debt management program helps people consolidate their debt into one payment and reduces their interest rates based on creditor programs. So we love to help with that program as well. Why is it important to have good credit? What does it do? Well, having good credit is really important because it impacts these 6 things in your life. So in order to get a job, a lot of times your employer will check your credit history. If they're going to give you a budget, they want to know, how are you managing your household budget? I'm about to give you, thousands of dollars to manage for my business as a part of, your department. Can you manage your own finances? So they'll check your credit history. Housing, a lot of times, if you're going to go get an apartment, the rental company will say, how's your credit history? Are you going to pay me? So they want to know that, right? Pretty important. And then your interest rates, again, creditors are going to look at your credit history and determine, am I going to get my money back if I loan this person money? So they'll either have a higher or lower rate depending on how good your credit score is or how healthy your credit history is. Down payments on a residence, on a mortgage, they're going to require more if you have a poor credit history or a lower credit score. Your utility deposits, sometimes utility companies will say, I'm going to pull your credit report, credit history to just determine whether or not we have to have a higher deposit from you at the beginning of services. And then insurance. I didn't know this till my brother went into insurance. He was like, hey, how's your credit score? And I was like, I don't know. And then looked at it and he was like, I think your rate could improve if you did a better job with your credit history, Alden. I was like, oh, I didn't know that was a thing. It's actually a really big thing. And your rates for your insurance on your car, your house, will be higher if you have a poor credit history. So in any case, these are things that your credit affects. And I just want to kind of spell that out. So what do we do in this season to help improve our credit history, our credit score? There's some pretty basic things right now, and then we'll talk about some pandemic things that you can do, like checking your credit report weekly. But these are some basic do's and don'ts, right? 65% of your credit score, 65%. Is your payment history and the amount that you owe, your balances, okay? 65%. So do pay your bills in time. And if you can pay them in full, go for it. It's better, it is way better to make a minimum payment on time than not and get to the full balance repayment. Make sure that you are paying on time, really big deal. Discuss, Kimberly spoke just a minute ago about talking about your finances. If you have lots of other people in your home and people who are helping make some of the financial decisions, i.e. they are bringing in income or they are spending the money, then talk to them about how money is coming in and going out. Those are not easy conversations. We get it. But they're important conversations to have. And if you need help with those conversations, don't hesitate to give us a call, because we'd love to help with those conversations. It's something we do every day. A great question to ask, and not an easy question to ask, is how many hours did it take me to buy this thing? Like, I'm scrolling through Amazon and I find the watch, right? Really excited about the watch. And if I ask myself, how many hours is it going to take me to buy that thing? It kind of puts a different perspective on it. So ask about how much it costs to buy that thing before you make that purchase. That's kind of a budgeting and credit tip. So, reduce the amount that you're spending. And then, as Mark Foster, our education director, says very eloquently, you might consider some plastic surgery in order to maintain your good credit, and turn off some of those cards, or cut them up. Say, I'm not going to use this anymore. And that Gap card probably needs to go away. The store's not open anyway. Well, maybe it is now, but in any case, you might want to turn that off. And then some of the things that you shouldn't do is co-sign on a loan. Don't overdo the low monthly payment stuff that you see out there. Don't give your credit card number over the phone just as a security issue, so that you're not looking up your credit report and finding that someone's charged something that you shouldn't. And if you do need to dispute something on there, give us a call. We can help with that. So using a high percentage of your credit limit, let's say you have $5,000 and you're using $2,500 of that on a consistent basis, you're going to run into some challenges. So your debt balance is going to be high, and that's going to mean that your credit score is going to continue to go down. And then beware of some of the free trial offers, right? So 0% interest for 6 months. Sometimes that can be helpful, but that can catch up with you as well. So just be wary of some of those offers. Read the fine print. It's not easy, but really important. So let's just a few of the things. We'll stay on this slide, but a few of the things that we'll stay on the previous slide just for a second. But a few of the things that we find is really important right now. I mentioned your free weekly credit report. Do that. I mean, just even if you know your score, like, go check it, go look what's on that, go look and see what's on that credit report. And if you don't really understand what's there, because I've looked at my credit report recently and gone, I don't even know what that is. Who's that servicer? What is that account? I'm not sure what that is. So I've walked down the hall, or in this season, picked up my phone because we're working remotely. Hey, what is this on my credit report? And our team is able to help me understand what's going on. So check your credit report. Reach out to your creditor, your issuer. If you've got to free up some cash right now, it's a great time to get on a deferment plan with your creditor. So some creditors are even like, Chase and Bank of America and American Express and Discover. A lot of these big companies, some of their names might be in your wallet, are allowing you to defer your payments. So they will stop your payment for up to 3 months. But you have to call or contact them. It's not going to happen automatically. So make that phone call and ask. It's probably on the back of your card, and ask them, can I defer my payment right now? Can you turn that on for me? Ask them the terms of that, and also ask them, how is this going to affect my credit long term? And you want to know the terms of your deferment and how it's going to impact you, not just the reduction in your monthly expenses, but how's this going to impact my credit? So ask those questions if that's a help to you. I think the other thing that has been really important for a lot of people is to understand how to address their debt balances right now, and what to do there. And so if you have any questions about how do I reduce my debt, Kimberly was talking about a monthly budget and reducing expenses. We'd love to help with that. So give us a shout, let us know how we can help. We'll go to the next slide and talk about just a few of the things that you want to understand about debt collection. So maybe someone, or maybe you've been impacted by this. A payment has gone over and it's gone to a collection agency. It's really important to understand your rights according to the Federal Debt Collection Practices Act. So the FDCPA is really important to understand. So these are just a few things that you need to know about debt collectors. They cannot try to collect charges in addition to what you owe. And they can't send anything in a postcard. It has to be a sealed envelope, and the envelope can't say anything about debt collection on it. They can't threaten or harass you in any way. They can't misrepresent the amount of debt. They can't misrepresent themselves. They can't say, I'm an attorney and I'm going to come after you. They can't say that. So you need to understand that if that's happening to you, that's against the law. And you need to contact the Attorney General, or you need to contact your servicer, contact that collector and say, I'm keeping record of these conversations. I'm keeping record of the notices that you're sending me. And I guarantee that's language that they don't hear very often. They're used to people going, oh no, they're going to put me in jail. That's not true. They can't do that. There is no debtor's prison in the US, technically speaking. So contact your Attorney General and ask, you see the contact information there. They are being really vigilant right now because of a lot of the scams that exist. So just be aware of that and take advantage of the resources that are available to you through the Attorney General's office. I think the last thing I'll mention, and we can go to that next slide, Kara. The last thing I'll mention is that we're here, we're available to you. We want to be your financial friend through this pandemic. We've created a number of resources on our website through our blog. We have some tools around budgeting, around establishing or maintaining your credit during this situation. We've got a whole list of resources, and we've kind of curated those to make sure that they're easy to use. And we've partnered with the University of Arkansas to develop 4 classes around budgeting, debt, and income and expenses, paying your bills on our website. So feel free to take a look. They're like 15-minute classes, and they really just kind of outline the resources and some of the tools that are available that makes this more accessible, right? Because budgeting is not fun and it's not easy. So you kind of need a helping hand. You kind of need a map to guide your processes. And that's what these tools are effective in doing. So we want to help you kind of walk through that. Feel free to give us a shout. Feel free to send me an email or give me a phone call. Happy to chat through some of this with you, especially for some of our agencies out there who are saying, I'd really like to do a class for my team so that they understand how to talk to people about these subjects, or I'd really like to do a presentation for my group. We serve the entire state, and we speak Spanish and English and Marshallese. And we're not doing in-person appointments right now, but we've been doing phone appointments for 20 years, and we've been doing online appointments for about 10. So, you know, we've been prepared for the pandemic with respect to our service delivery. So let us help you in any way we can. Thanks, Kara, again, so much. Really appreciate it.
No, thank you, Alden, and thank you for the kind words. I do want to, again, thank all of the panelists for being available today. And I do want to turn this portion of the webinar over to Q&A. Again, if you have any questions, please use the chat feature, and you can feel free to put it in there. I know we had one earlier, and I actually want to pose this question to all of the panelists. I know, Alden, you sort of touched base on it, but for Terry and for Kimberly, do your organizations offer Spanish speaking or other languages where individuals who want to access your resources will be able to do so in their fluent language?
Yes, we do offer bilingual sessions. We do have Spanish-speaking individuals that work for Hope Credit Union. We also provide some of our financial literacy, well, all of our financial literacy is provided in Spanish and in English, so yes.
And our agencies, which serve a significant population that is Spanish speaking, do have staff on hand who are Spanish speakers. Agencies that only serve a few Spanish speaking customers have relationships with translators who can be on call to provide translation assistance. And many of our forms are available both in English and Spanish. And our agency in Northwest Arkansas has a relationship with the Marshallese community, and they will assist in any kind of translation that is necessary. So again, one community action agency is one community action agency, but we seek to serve the entire community. So those resources are available, if not directly from a Spanish-speaking staff member, through a relationship that we have with someone who speaks Spanish.
Thank you all. I did want to ask one or two just clarification questions. Alden, I'll start with you. I know that you touched base on student loans, and I can speak for myself that I took advantage of the fact that you can pull your credit score, and I saw that some of my student loans automatically were covered or protected under the CARES Act, and then some weren't. Do you have any thoughts or advice about, what people should be looking for in terms of that student loan payment and how they contact their servicer to find out if their loan is actually one of the ones that it can be automatically federally deferred?
Yeah, absolutely. So if it is a federally backed student loan, then it's going to be automatically deferred unless you tell them not to. So it will default to defer your loan payment, I think through September 30th. But if it is not, if it's a private loan, if the issuer is a private organization that's not federally backed, then they don't have to follow by those CARES Act rules. So you won't find a deferment plan for those unless you contact your servicer and they say, oh, yes, we can do that based on a COVID-related hardship. So by all means, check your studentaid.gov account and look to see whether or not your loans are federally backed first. And then contact your servicer is probably the best route that we would recommend.
Perfect, thank you. And if anyone has any questions, again, you can use the chat feature. Kimberly, I wanted to ask you if you don't mind giving a really quick overview of the Paycheck Protection Program and other programs that I know that banks have been inundated with doing work around. There may be some families who own businesses, small businesses, who weren't able to receive some of those funds. And so any update or status on if those funds are available, and if so, what would be the next step that someone would take if they were interested in applying?
No problem, Kara. I will happily to say that Hope Credit Union, we still have funding for Paycheck Protection Program. If you're a 1099 contractor, small business, you can apply. You definitely will have had to file your 2019 taxes, and there you can go to hopecu.org. Right on the home page is a link where you can click on to fill out the application. Someone will be in contact with you to let you know if additional documents are needed. They will also tell you how much loan that you could get approved for. If before you do all that, if you have any questions, I will be happily to you can call me and we can look over your last tax return with you, and I can give you a general basis of what that loan amount would be. As you know, the Paycheck Protection Program is for 8 weeks of payroll. So it's a portion of what your business earned as of last year. And you can, if you haven't been working or if you're still currently working, you can go back into the workforce with that PPP loan. You don't have to be a Hope member to apply with us. That's a good thing. And I know we're in the state of Arkansas, but Hope Credit Union is serving 4 other states: Alabama, Mississippi, Tennessee, and Louisiana. So if you know small businesses or individuals, 1099 contractors, that maybe couldn't apply with their financial institution, maybe the funds, they ran out of funding, or they wasn't aware that they could apply with Hope by not being a member, you can direct them to the website as well. And there are some additional states that we are actually providing PPP loans to: South Carolina, North Carolina, Florida, Texas, just to name a few, but I think there's 5 additional other states for those businesses that didn't even know they qualify or their financial institution ran out of funding. So a lot of people don't know 1099 contractors can apply. If your employer, you are not an employee. If you're a 1099 contractor, you are an independent contractor, and you can apply on your behalf. Again, they can go to hopecu.org, or they can contact me at 501-562-1060. I don't mind answering any questions or getting you through the initial steps to make sure that you are eligible to apply.
Perfect, thank you. And Kim brings up a great point, which is if you have not, or if you have clients who have not completed either their 2018 or their 2019 taxes, which 2019 taxes have been pushed to July 15th as the deadline, you can still access VITA site services. So volunteer income tax assistance services are still available through several partners. I know we have several partners on our coalition, including Arkansas Asset Builders, Southern Bancorp, Arkansas Community Organization, and certain United Ways, who are providing free tax assistance prep for families who meet the income requirements and still need their taxes done. So please encourage people to complete their taxes if they can get it done at a VITA site. Again, that's free or low cost to them, and then that will allow them to be able to hopefully access some of these other financial services. We are coming up on time, so I wanted to see if there were any additional questions. Great, that's a note from Kim. So I do want to also mention that Bank on Arkansas, on our website, we do have a COVID-19 financial resources page. And so if you go to this page, it's continuously updated. It has not only resources from, it will have resources from today's webinar, but it also has resources from the FDIC, from Consumer Federal Protection Bureau, and other financial entities about, you know, how to navigate through COVID, or what are some resources are available and how can families qualify. So I would encourage everyone to check that resources page out. Again, bankonar.org/COVID, and you'll find information there. And then additionally, I'd like to thank the Arkansas Community Foundation, who actually funded this webinar through the Arkansas Delta Endowment for Building Community. And so we thank them for their support. In addition, I'd like to thank our general Bank on Arkansas supporters, as you see here, who helped to fund Bank on Arkansas, the program, as well as our coalition work. And also thank you again for joining us. My contact information is listed here, so please feel free to send me an email or contact me if you have any questions. Again, the webinar will be available shortly on our website and on Facebook. We encourage you to share it with individuals in your community, and contact us if you have any further questions. Thank you for joining us today.